The domestication of the cat was first appeared around 9,000 years ago. Because cats always travel with humans trade worldwide, they spread worldwide too. Some of them became feral cats, which are cats that live outdoors and avoid contact with human beings, and they are mostly feed on vertebrates such as mammals, birds, and reptiles, and they also feed on invertebrates such as insects. Although the domestication started thousands of years ago, feral cats are a disaster to some remote and isolated island in the world. Let's take Hawaiian Islands as examples. Before the mid 17th century, Hawaiian Islands are mostly cat-free environments. However, on January 18, 1778, the English explorer Captain James Cook became the first European to discover the Hawaiian Islands when he sailed past the island of Oahu. The reason why those explorers brought those cats were because they need them to catch the mice on their ships during the long voyage. After the explorers arrived at Hawaiian Island, those cats become feral cats and wander around on the island. The feral cats have been very skilled to live and hunt freely. Consequently, under the circumstances, without any other comparable size of predatory population in Hawaiian Island, preying food was really an easy thing for the feral cats. And soon, they thrive in the wild. Cats becomes one of the most overwhelming predators of Hawaiian Island's unique wildlife.
The abundance of birds and different species on the Hawaiian island was far greater than before the introduction of feral cats. However, many focusing on the native bird species to Hawaii prior to the introduction of invasive feral cats, the birds still had to deal with many other species to ensure their survival. Many of the other species would prey on the nesting sites of birds that would decrease the overall population of the native birds as years passed. Additionally, when humans inhabited the Hawaiian Islands, mosquitoes were also brought over that endangered and eradicated many native bird species with avian pox and malaria. Along with diseases, humans used a poison that would kill rats to stop them from feeding not only on their own crops and food, but also from feeding on the birds nesting. However, the poison, bodifocum, would also affect other animals and species as the poison was put on bait for the rats to feed off of. Some other species, including native birds, would also feed off of the bait if they found any and would ultimately kill the birds as well. With the poison in many of the species' system, this would affect the food chain in this environment. With birds ingesting the poison, they would pass it on to their offspring, and if the offspring were preyed upon, then the predator would also ingest the poison and inherit its effects. This represents how the trophic levels in this specific ecosystem and how the introduction of a toxic substance can damage and change the ecosystem. Nearly all of the Hawaiian birds were herbivores, but fragmentation of the environment affected the native birds' diet and fitness. Without some of the native birds' main resources to feed and nest, many of the native birds' offspring were more susceptible to disease and predation, as the adult birds would need to spend more time looking and potentially travel further in the search of food for themselves and their offspring.
The food chain in Hawaii Island was composed by three parts, which are producer, consumer, and decomposer. As a producer, banyan tree produces most of the basic nutrient for organisms in Hawaii Island, and it is also the prey of Hawaii creeper. As the secondary consumer, Hawaii creeper obtains most of its energy and food from the banyan tree. The Hawaii creeper is the predator of Hawaii creeper is the feral cat. Feral cat is standing on the top of this food chain in Hawaii Island because there are few competitors with him, sharing the limited resources. The decomposer for feral cat is the Succinylate terra. It decomposes feral cat's dead body and transfer it into nutrient oxygen in order to support the producer, which is the branch. Obviously, a feral cat is the predictor of the wildlife in Hawaii Island. The relationship between feral cats and those wildlife is the prediction of the interspecies interaction. The reduction of Hawaii's local life force dramatically decreased because of the invasion of cats. cats has contributed to minimum of 40% of all birds, mammal, and or reptile extinctions and the decline of at least 8% of critical endangered birds, mammals, and reptiles. The food chain in Hawaii Island has changed dramatically since the cats were introduced into the island. Birds, as the secondary consumer, are the major food source of cats that play a role of the higher level consumer. Based on the Hawaii Invasive Species Council, cats kills approximately 2.4 billion birds each year in Hawaii Islands.
In addition to predation, feral cats also cause dramatic decrease of other wildlife in Hawaii's island by spreading a potentially lethal parasite which contaminates terrestrial, freshwater, and marine environment called Toxoplasma gondii. As we mentioned before, because of the fragmentation, the birds in Hawaiian Islands become more vulnerable to the disease. According to the research, more and more endangered species, especially the birds, have been shown positive to Toxoplasma. A single cat might excrete hundreds of millions of infectious eggs into the environment through its feces, which negatively affect birds, marine mammals, and even humans. Pregnant women are especially vulnerable to this disease because of their weakened immune system. Toxoplasmosis is an identified threat to the conservation of endangered species such as Hawaiian grouse, Hawaiian crow, and Hawaiian monk seals. In this case, the relationship between feral cats and Toxoplasma is a parasitism of interspecific interactions.
Awareness for the audience. According to a research, feral cats are listed among the 100 worst invasive species in the world. For instance, there is a shallow fish pond around the park. During the daytime, some cats step into the pond for fish and caught nearly 60% of the fishes in the pond. Some species that are in lower level of the food web increased as the number of fish declined, which also leads to a situation where the amount of producer has declined dramatically. This implies that the feral cats are now disrupting the food web. Since the feral cat's existence tends to harm many wildlife and endangered species without control, people have to put conservation into practice. To protect those unique wildlife and maintain a healthy food web in those remote and isolated islands, even in your own place, here are some helpful hints for you. When you hang out with your pet cat outside, make sure they wear a colorful clothes or a necklace. This can raise the attention of local birds, reducing the chances of getting attacked by your pet cats. Never abandon your pet cats. If you have to, please surrender your pet cat to a local animal shelter so that it has a chance to be adopted, and they would not become feral cats that attack those innocent wildlife. Besides, never attempt to feed feral cats. They can be extremely aggressive, and never let your children interact with them. It is also possible for you to be infected by Toxoplasma, which parasitic on those feral cats. Also, not feeding the feral cats can help reduce their population and therefore protect the innocent wildlife in your place.